Gonna sip on my tea, pretend like I'm rich. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Maryam here. What up? In today's video, I am going to show you how to look rich and expensive while being on a budget. Yes, I will be using all drugstore makeup for this very monochromatic yet sophisticated and elevated makeup look. There will be a tutorial. I am going to give you a bunch of tips on hair, on accessories, on outfits, and most importantly, on how to live a rich state of mind. So I hope you guys love this video. I hope you find it useful. Remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can see all of my Wednesdays and Sundays videos. And now let's get to it. How to look rich on a budget. Hit it. All right, here I am before. Take a look at this face. Take a look at this hair. I literally just woke up maybe an hour and a half ago. I already did my skincare though, because that is important. I'm gonna just comb brush my hair back and put it back in a nice, somewhat neat ponytail. That immediately made me feel a degree better, like just a step up from before, you know? Now I already prepped and primed my skin, and before I even get to the makeup portion of this video, I can't tell you how important skincare is in your routine. If you want to look elevated, your skin's gotta look good first and foremost. My first tip, I just got this book, Skincare, from my friend Caroline Hirons. She wrote this book. She is a skincare expert and she's also a massive influencer here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Just a little bit more than halfway done. This book has actually helped me to fine tune and pinpoint exactly what I need and what I don't need. Now this book is $24 on Amazon and I promise you it will elevate your skincare game. Now that I've said my piece, now that I've put my hair back, let's get into this makeup. Today I'm gonna be using all drugstore makeup. So I'm going to start with a powder under foundation method. I've been liking this powder under foundation method because my skin is oily and I need that little extra barrier of protection between my foundation and between my skin and oil glands. Now you don't necessarily need to use a super expensive powder. I feel that these two are really, really good and very comparable to some of the top super expensive powders out there. First being Maybelline MasterFix, second one being Catrice Light Illusion Yellow Powder. I would say these are probably my top two favorite picks from the drugstore. This one being a recent favorite, this one being an all-time favorite. Today I'm actually gonna reach for the Maybelline MasterFix because you've seen me use Catrice in many of my videos. Gonna dip the sponge into it. And by the way, this is a ColourPop sponge, also very inexpensive. And basically I'm gonna press this into my porous zones. I'm gonna use this to perfect my skin. I am so matte. Next thing I'm gonna do is pick up this Maybelline MasterPrime Smooth and Blur Primer that I've been using for a long time. This is a really great primer from the drugstore. It does help smooth blur and adhere your foundation to make it last longer. I'm just looking for a clean brush because you know my situation with that. Morphe brush to apply it on. Doesn't have to be a Morphe brush. You can use your fingers if you want. But I've just recently gotten into the habit of using brushes to apply my primer. Wow, these two together, dream come true. Onto foundation. So for foundation, I have so many favorite foundations from the drugstore. I've talked about so many times before and I'll say it again. The drugstore has really, really elevated its product and the brands that are at the drugstore. Honestly, you can compare them to some of the top brands. One of my absolute favorite foundations is L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear. I even dubbed this one as possibly the world's best foundation for my skin type. This is a medium to full coverage and it is just gorgeous. Secondly, I am a big fan of this CoverGirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk. This is a light to medium coverage foundation, great for the summertime. Feels amazing on the skin, doesn't look like makeup at all, looks natural, like your own fresh, dewy, gorgeous, glowing skin. And the third one that is super inexpensive, like $6 inexpensive, is this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. Now this is a dewy / luminous foundation, not necessarily for the oily skin type. It did break up on me, but if you are not like me and if you are dry, then this is probably going to be a favorite for you. Today, I'm gonna go for the CoverGirl Clean Fresh in the shade 570 Medium Tan. The reason why I'm going for this foundation today is because my skin is good this week, so I don't need full coverage. So now, of course, if you wanna look rich and expensive and you're a makeup loving person and you just love your full coverage foundation, then that is what you should go for because you are that girl or boy. and that's your preference. But if you're just looking to elevate, I say less is more. All right, so this one very light sheer layer of foundation is giving me that very natural but very dewy complexion that I was looking for. Moving on to concealer. Well, I really only have one favorite, and it is the Maybelline Age Rewind. A lot of people swear by this one, and I do too. On the flip side, if you're a little bit drier skin type than I am, you will probably like this CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer. This one's a little bit more similar to Shape Tape, but a little bit richer, so a little bit dewier. I'm gonna go for the Age Rewind. I'm gonna use that same face lifting technique, basically just applying this concealer to my areas of interest and blending it out. So here, I'm kind of highlighting my chin to bring a little bit more light to it. I'm highlighting while also concealing around the nose to make this area around the nose a little bit brighter so that it doesn't look as sunken as it is. I like to also highlight right here, lifting those corners of the eye to lift the face, and of course, brightening the under eye. I don't really like to use correctors because I don't feel that in my case I have much to correct under my eyes. So for me, this is enough. Also gonna add a bit of that concealer to my lids. It's a lot. Blend it out. I haven't found a drugstore eyeshadow primer that I love. So in my opinion, a concealer still works best with powder on top, of course. And boom, going back to my powder, Maybelline MasterFix. Guys always ask me about this brush, and unfortunately, it's got no name, it's got no number, it's got nothing. I'm gonna lightly set my under eye and also the top of the lid. Also gonna set around the nose. Basically, I'm setting all the areas where I applied concealer, but I'm not heavy setting it. I'm just lightly dusting this product across my skin, just so that it doesn't move and doesn't crease. But ultimately, I'm not going for a super matte look today. I'm going for very natural, very dewy, healthy. Just gonna take a fluffy brush and just the tiniest amount of product and run that over the center of my forehead and kind of just all over. Okay, moving on to the eyes. I'm not gonna do my eyebrows yet. I'm kind of working in a different technique today, so I'm working slightly backwards. For my eyeshadow today, I have two of these Wanderlust palettes from Flower Beauty. I love Flower Beauty. I think you guys have heard me say this so many times in my previous drugstore videos and other videos. I feel that Flower Beauty eyeshadows, their products in general, are super duper luxe. They do not feel like drugstore products at all. Ooh, not saying that their packaging is luxe, because this just fell apart. All right, so I'm gonna start out with this yellowy ochre orange shade. I'm gonna pick up this big giant fluffy brush, Morphe M504, a little bit here, and I'm gonna start building up this color in the outer edge. Now, Flower Beauty eyeshadows aren't the only ones that are great from the drugstore or great for their price point. I actually find that some ColourPop palettes also have really good quality. All right, so I've built up the color sort of in this outer portion because I have a much larger brow bone space than I have lid space, so I kind of want all the color to happen here. I'm keeping it really neutral and close to my skin tone, but obviously a lot more saturated. I'm just pulling out this color kind of across my temples, like so. Next up, I'm gonna take a little bit of bronzer, and today I'm gonna be using this Bahama Mama from the BALM Cosmetics, which you can find at like Walmart, I believe. So I'm gonna reach for this shade here with my eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to create a little bit of definition all along my eye socket, and also like slightly down the nose bridge. Okay, next, instead of applying this next shade to the inner portion and meeting with the nose contour, I'm gonna apply it to the outer portion, kind of in a C, and just defining this edge here. Like, this isn't a super complicated move, but with these three shades, you already have such a nice defined eye socket. I'm gonna kind of blend that across my lid. Same thing on the other side. Now, I honestly do think that blending is key if you want your makeup, especially your eye makeup, to appear sophisticated and expensive. You don't have to necessarily use expensive products, but you gotta use expensive technique. But this isn't technique that you necessarily have to pay for in order to learn. You could watch my videos for free and I will teach you. So watch and learn. I also always say that I find it easier to blend monochromatic tones into each other than, say, if you were blending a purple into a yellow. That's a lot harder and that takes greater technique. But today I just want to show you how to make a few key improvements just to give the appearance or the feel of a person who is rich. And I don't mean monetarily. I'm not talking about no socioeconomic type of rich versus poor. No, no, no. Rich is a state of mind, you guys, and it comes from confidence. Confidence is key. Confidency is what I like to call it. I'm pretty satisfied with the way that my lids are looking at the moment. So now I kind of want to revisit my skin. I think that I could use just a little bit more coverage. Specifically in this cheek area right here, I do have a tiny little breakout here, and also right here on my jaw, there's some breakout. I'm just gonna go ahead and just stamp it where I need it. Okay, back to the bronzer. Bahama Mama. I'm gonna use my Strobe and Sculpt brush from my first PIXI collab, and I'm basically gonna add just a bit of that bronzy contoured glow all across my forehead, starting at the hairline and then just making its way to the center. Press swiping it across because this is what this brush was designed for. I'm gonna chisel out my cheeks, but also kind of just lift it. Next, brows. I'm gonna use my PIXI Brow Duo because I ran out of the Maybelline Brow Gel, which is actually a clear mascara, but it is my favorite. The PIXI one is another favorite. I'm gonna brush my hairs up. I also have this ColourPop Brow Boss Gel, but this one is tinted. Just pressing these brows down using this Anastasia tweezer back end. My brows are a little bit unruly, so they need a little extra love and a little extra attention when it comes to actually gluing them down. But if you don't have this issue, then just skip. Generally, I find that this is a feature with Asian brows that are a little bit straighter. For my brow pencil today, I have Maybelline Ultra Slim in 2 shades, black brown and deep brown. I'm gonna use black brown because it's a little bit cooler, and I'm basically going to just extend this natural brow that I have going on here. This shade is very close to the color of my eyebrows. I just fill in where I need it to be filled in, but I'm not gonna add heaviness or darkness to this brow. I want it to still feel and look very airy and light. I actually find that sometimes a really heavily defined brow tends to age the overall face and appearance. So for me, someone who's over 30, I actually want to go for a slightly lighter technique with the brow. I feel like brow products in general, you don't have to spend a lot to make it look like it's really great quality. Back to this Flower Beauty eyeshadow palette, I am going to go ahead and reach for this shade here, which feels really wet and beautiful to the touch. I want to have an all over bronzy lid moment. So I'm just gonna slap that across my lid and just blend with the other shadows. Now this is something that would look great during the day or at night, and it really doesn't take a lot of effort or skill. Everything that I've applied is monochromatic, but there's lots of different textures and everything is layered, so it makes it look like it actually took a lot longer to apply than it did. Now this eyeshadow also looks like a freaking Tom Ford eyeshadow. It's just so beautiful. It's honestly comparable to Natasha Denona. Not saying all the shadows are, but this one, the one that I'm applying right now, it's just so buttery and so prismatic, and it's so rich looking. How pretty is that? For liners, I grabbed just a bunch of drugstore gel type of pencil liners that I love, namely this L'Oreal Infallible, Mr. Right from the BALM Cosmetics, Revlon So Fierce, got Milani, ColourPop, PIXI, and Flower Beauty. All of these I love and I swear by. They are excellent. They're easy to use. Today, I'm just looking for a brown shade, so let's go for this Revlon So Fierce vinyl eyeliner in the shade Mighty Mocha. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is just lightly line the outer portion of my lower lash line. Take a small little smudger brush and smudge it out. This one is from Sigma. And I'm going to add the same shade to my top lash line, but only starting at the center so that my eye looks like it's lifted. So I'm blurring that line into the shadow, I'm lifting it, and I'm connecting it to the outer lower lash line. Next, I'm going to take another brush, dip into a little bit of that orange, and basically add on top of the lower lash line to help blend it. Next, I'm going to dip into this shadow. I'm going to add that very close directly to my lower lash line. Kind of just sealing in that pencil and blending it to the point where you don't really see it being there. I'm going to go ahead with the smaller brush and do the same thing. Man, that rain is torrential. I can't stand the rain against my window. When I was little, I thought she said, I can't stand Lorraine. I'm really loving the way that that looks. It's just nice and vibrant, very monochromatic, but flattering. And flattering is what I'm looking for. Flattering is like the whole shebang of this video. Highlighter time. Reaching for this guy here. So pretty. Slapping that right there for a little sparkle and shine. Let's do that with my finger. Much better. Also kind of overlapping my inner lid, just like that. And then with the brush, I'm just gonna add it here, right along the brow bone. Okay, lashes time. Now here is something that you should probably never get from the drugstore, and you should absolutely splurge on a good lash curler. A good lash curler is something that actually holds the curl. It's something that grabs all of your lashes. Not all lash curlers are made the same. I far prefer the flatter kind with a much wider grip. I talked about this Laura Mercier specific lash curler in my previous video. It's similar to the Shiseido one. If you have smaller Asian shaped eyes, or if you are Asian with Asian eyes, you know what I mean. This is probably the one that you would benefit from. I'm gonna curl my lashes at the roots and also in the middle. And then I'm also gonna curl my bottom lashes. Why? Because I can, and it's much harder to do with other lash curlers, but this one's great. For my mascara, CoverGirl Waterproof Exhibitionist Mascara. I like this one a lot. Now, obviously, this is not as thickening and lengthening and volumizing as a non-waterproof formula, but for someone like me who can't use a regular mascara because they smudge on me like crazy, this is the best that I can do. So just be mindful of what you do, keep in mind your features, and do what works for you. If you want to wear falsies, I would recommend a much more natural pair than you would typically go for when reaching for falsies. Perhaps any of these are Dell Wispies. I think I'm gonna skip falsies for today's video just because, I don't know, I don't feel like I really need them. Oh my god, so much cat hair. That is a long one. Ooh. Love that. Okay, moving on to the lips. My favorite lipsticks from the drugstore. It's kind of a tie. I'm still a huge fan of the Maybelline mattes, specifically their matte nudes. I also really like ColourPop's lipsticks. I think they're really great, especially the traditional lipstick tube type lipsticks. So for today's look, because I'm kind of sticking to the monochromatic feel, I want to go for a similar lip. I'm going to go for a ColourPop lip liner, specifically from their big box of lippy pencils. This shade is great, kind of like a peachy nude. I'm gonna say this more for me than for you, but try not to overline the lips too much. I know. If Marilyn can do it, so can Maryam, and so can any of you. But overlining the lips, our society for some reason has labeled it as looking somewhat tacky. So because a lot of outlooks and a lot of mindsets are already set that way, for some reason it makes it right. Not true, but do what you must. I'm going to refrain from overlining too much. I'm just gonna keep it to a minimum, just overlining my Cupid's bow here. And then for my lips, ooh, I don't know, either one of these will do. Daringly Nude or Raw. Ooh, this raw chocolate would be so pretty with the eyes. How about a little bit of that raw chocolate? Let's do that. I know, I told you this color is bomb. Little concealer brush, because I kind of went outside the edge here. And now for a little blush and highlight. I'm gonna go for this PIXI Book of Beauty. Let's go for this peachy shade here. I feel like it'll bring everything together. It'll keep everything monochromatic like I want it to be. I'm gonna start here at the center, but lift it up and back. Isn't that pretty? For my highlighter, I'm gonna go for ColourPop Manifest That highlighter. This one's really pretty. It is from the tie-dye collection, and I think it goes great with this whole monochromatic feel that I have going on. Just gonna add that to the back of my cheekbones. I'm like moving all the way to the side just so I can show you. Like, I don't want it to be an obvious highlight. I want it to just be in the back just to provide that little bit of gloss. Moving on to hair, because we are not done. You do need to absolutely elevate your hair in order to look more expensive. Not every style will fit every single hair type. So if you have straight hair like me or straight-ish hair like me, I would say the straighter the better. Go for an even straighter look if you want it to look really sophisticated, kind of like blunt Victoria Beckham. However, you can also go for a slick back kind of look, like a wet Gigi Hadid type of look, especially if you have wavy hair or if you have curly hair. I feel like getting your hair away from your face and kind of like lifting this whole situation gives it this level of sophistication that other hairstyles don't. I'm gonna go for the pin straight hair look right now. Looking rich. And I'm back. So my hair is now straightened. It is sleek and super pin straight. I used basically a regular flattening iron and of course some heat protectant spray. It doesn't have to be expensive. TRESemmé actually has a really affordable one that I swear by, so go with that one. If you have curly hair or if you have wavy hair and you want to do a different type of style, just think of what works best for you. Next, gold jewelry. I've always been a fan of gold jewelry. It's kind of my go-to. I don't think silver looks as good on me as does gold. I've always loved bold jewelry, and right now the gold bold jewelry look is in, and I feel like it instantly elevates your whole overall appearance. Again, it doesn't have to be real gold, it doesn't have to be super expensive, but just something simple is effective. Also, get yourself a pair of Chanel earrings. Now these Chanel earrings are actually fake, and I own Chanel earrings that are not fake, but I probably wear these even more and they look just like the real deal. I honestly probably even get more compliments on these fake ones than I do on my real ones. Just make sure you do the research, that you read the reviews. I like to get mine from Etsy, so that is my rich tip for you guys. Finally, the outfit. I feel that white is the most sophisticated, elevated color. It works in everything, in fashion, it works in architecture, in interior design, and it just seems to add a lot more light. It seems to just make everything look better. If you are tan to deep complexion, it will add some contrast to your overall look. Or if you are fair, it'll make you look more tan. Also make sure that it is wrinkle free, and make sure if you are wearing white jeans that there's no stains on your white jeans, or even if you're wearing a white t-shirt, just make sure there's no stains, okay? And now we are at the end of the video. This is my final look. I love the way that I look right now. I feel more elevated and more sophisticated and more rich. And now before I leave you guys, I do want to mention that being rich is in fact a state of mind. You've got to be thankful for what you have. Even if you don't have much, if you have a stable home, if you have pets, if you have a good family, then you are already rich. If you have health, you know that is your wealth. And those are the things that we should all be thankful for. And those are the basic fundamentals to having a rich state of mind. Just be humble and constantly remind yourself of some of the things that you have that make you rich. I love you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. I will see you in my next one, and make sure you check out some of my other videos before you go so that you don't miss me too much. And also hit that subscribe button because it's right there. All right, you guys, bye. Mwah.